It's that time for Christmas cheer, and Pikachu and friends are ready to celebrate the holidays with you. Show off your Christmas spirit with a limited edition Pokemon Holiday Spirit t-shirts and hoodies. Get them now before January 2nd. I got an anime channel called Mystic Sage, where I do anime top 10s, speculations, and more. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch to keep up to date with me, the channel, and even for some entertainment. Links will be in the description below. Thanks guys, enjoy the video. The Best Team series takes things to the sky today, as I am soaring in to bring you the best team for flying types. The rules are the same as always. A Pokemon can only appear once on one of these teams, so if you don't see Pelipper, then it's very possible you'll see it on the best team for water types, so don't lose faith. A big thing to mention for you all to keep in mind is, as always, that these typing teams should be viewed more as theme teams to have decent fun with, rather than something you should take into the monotype tier. As I've gotten to mention a few times now, keep in mind that these best teams don't include the 8th generation, and all strategizing is built to be used in Ultra Sun and Moon. Now let's feel the wind beneath our wings and check out this best team. We're obviously going to be starting off this team with our Mega Pokemon, and when it comes to the flying types, there were two options in my mind for where I could take things when I made this team. There's that special attacking no guard Master Mega Pidgeot, which is definitely a good Pokemon, and could have been a very usable Mega on both this and the normal type best team. However, unfortunately for this big bird, it is outclassed by a different Mega on both teams. With the normal type team, it was Kangaskhan, and this time around, it's Salamence. Basically, if you have an ability like Aerolite and a massive attack stat, then you're practically guaranteed to be getting a spot on a team like this. Mega Salamence has a base attack of 145, and if it weren't enough, like I mentioned earlier, it also has the Aerolite ability. Aerolite will make all normal type moves that Salamence uses flying type, thus giving it a stab boost if it goes for a move like Return. As we all know, there are many physical normal type moves, and so Salamence will definitely be taking advantage of them. This Pokemon is really no pushover when it comes to speed either, as it has a base speed of 120, and worth mentioning as well is a base 130 defense. Essentially, Mega Salamence is just really good, and while you guys already knew that, I just couldn't talk about it without bringing up these great stats. So if stats as good as these, I'm sure you're all wondering exactly what I'm planning to do. There are options here for Mega Salamence, as it does have a 120 special attack, which would keep the door open for a possible special set here. However, I want to keep things a bit more traditional, and it's focused on making Mega Salamence hit incredibly hard, physically, and move super fast. With that in mind, I'm giving this Pokemon 252 EVs in attack and 252 in speed, as well as making it adamant nature, so it'll hit even harder. With these boosts applied, Mega Salamence will have a beautiful 427 physical attack and a pretty respectable 339 speed. There is more you can do though, so don't expect these stats to stay where they are, as you'll see momentarily. Mega Salamence is heading into battle with the moveset of Dragon Dance, Double Edge, Facade, and Roost. Like I just said, those stats are definitely going to change, and that will be thanks to Dragon Dance. With Dragon Dance, Salamence will see an uptick in its attack and speed by a stage with each usage. This one usage of the move will give Salamence 640 attack and 508 speed, and you can pretty much safely assume it'll outspeed mostly anything. It is worth noting that using Dragon Dance can be a risk due to the chance of Salamence being cracked with an Ice type move on the first turn it is used. So I would make sure to pick your spots carefully and try not to set up against any sort of Ice type Pokemon. Honestly, if you're not already set up with a Dragon Dance, I would recommend not being out there against an Ice type. The next move is the first of a couple of offensive options, leading off of Double Edge. Double Edge has up to 33% recoil to Salamence's health when it connects, so if you one-hit an opponent with it, you can expect to lose around a third of your health. That can be really dangerous for a Pokemon like Salamence, that would definitely be taken out by one special or fairy Ice type move at that point, though it is worth it for the amount of damage done. Thanks to Salamence's ability, Double Edge will become a flying type move, and the stab will boost the base attack of Double Edge all the way up to 180. That's going to smack anything like a Mack truck, and it'll probably one-hit plenty of Pokemon, possibly even those that resist flying, if they don't have a lot of physical defense on them. Following Double Edge is Facade, which is a pretty good move that will see its power doubled if Salamence is dealing with status element like Burn or Poison. Essentially, thanks to Stab, the base power of Facade will become 105, and then if someone thinks that they're going to get the upper hand over Salamence by burning it or poisoning it, then you'll end up with a move even stronger than Double Edge that will allow Salamence to keep on fighting until it eventually goes down from its ailments and general damage done to it. Alternatively though, if you don't just want a move that is base 105, unless you're either losing health constantly every turn or having your attack stat cut in half, you can use Return. Return will be stat boosted to 153 base power at max happiness, and is a great alternative if you don't want something that can be seen as circumstantial power. Finally, running up this moveset is Roost, and it is definitely one of the more important moves on this set. You'll get back 50% of your max health if you use it, and when you turn the Double Edge as your main damaging dealing move, it's important to have a way to regain health. A nice little added bonus with Roost as well, as that it'll remove the flying typing from Salamence for the turn it is used, so you don't have to worry about having a ×4 weakness to ice anymore as long as you move before the opponent does. This whole moveset is super destructive, and while it might seem like Salamence has a lot going into it, that might limit its time on the field. Trust me, when I say if you use Roost in an appropriate way, you should be absolutely fine and have access to this strong Pokemon for possibly the entire battle. So what is the best way to follow up such an incredible Mega Evolution? Well, I'd say the only answer to that question is with a legendary Pokemon. Next up is the box art legendary of Pokemon Silver, the diving Pokemon Lugia. Lugia is such an absolute wall defensively, and having one of those Pokemon on a flying type team felt incredibly important. Lugia has got two abilities to choose from, being the usual legendary ability Pressure and its hidden ability Multiscale. Usually with these teams, I don't like to use abilities or moves on Pokemon that are hard to get, due to them being from vents and things like that. But in this case, I decided to use the Multiscale ability for this Lugia. You can get your hands on a Multiscale Lugia by downloading the Dream Radar and using Soul Silver to grab one with a Dream Ball. After you get your hands on that, you'll have yourself the ever impressive Multiscale ability that halves the damage Lugia takes whenever it has full health. So yes, Lugia is definitely prepped to just be an aggravating tank that won't let its opponent take it out all that easily. I gave it the leftovers as well, so at the end of every turn, it'll earn back a 16th of its health, and that way it will play a big part in Lugia's longevity as a tank it is. The stat spread I'm choosing for Lugia really plays into its strengths, aiming to bring that bulk to even higher places. It's got a base 154 special defense to start with, which is one of the top 5 highest totals in the game, and its physical defense is also pretty fantastic at 130. I broke things down a little differently than usual, giving Lugia 252 EVs in HP and 160 in defense, with another 92 being put in speed, along with the bull nature. Those additions to the stat lines will give Lugia 416 HP, 369 defense, and 280 speed. Taking in the stats alongside a 344 special defense just goes to show that actually defeating Lugia will be no easy task for most opponents. Roost, Toxic, Whirlwind, and Psychic are Lugia's 4 moves, and as you can probably tell, it's going to be more of a stalling wall than an attacking one. Roost is a prominent move on this entire team, as you'll come to find out, and as it is, it'll still give Lugia back half of its max HP and get rid of its flying type as long as it goes first for that turn. Working alongside the leftovers, that should make it very easy for Lugia to constantly be in a healthy state and make use of its multi-skill ability. Toxic is going to be an important move for Lugia, as it is for most walls, as it will deal a progressively growing amount of damage at the end of each turn, leaving most Pokemon defeated after unsuccessfully being able to take Lugia down. It is a little spotty on its accuracy, but even with that, you should be good to go on trying the Toxic style at most opponents. If you're up against a Pokemon that Toxic wouldn't work well against, however, you can easily pull out the Whirlwind move and force your opponent to switch with a different Pokemon on the team. This will be great for other reasons as well, as you'll soon find out with the next member of this team. Lugia's moveset closes with Psychic, a strong special attacking move that boosts up to 135 attack with Stab, and it's basically here just in case you run into someone using Taunt, or if you want to finish off a Pokemon that's nearly defeated from Toxic damage or other means. Plus, if Lugia is perhaps the final Pokemon you have, you'll definitely want someone that can hit Steel and Poison types, since Toxic just won't work with them. Lugia is your classic tank wall, and will be a fantastic Pokemon to turn to throughout your battles with this team. Coming up next is the Pokemon I view as a complementary piece to Lugia, Johto's bird of prey, Skarmory. You guys know I like Skarmory a lot, and I decided to pull it out here because it's a great fit for this team, and as I said, a great Pokemon to work alongside Lugia. Skarmory has tremendous defense and can be taken advantage of as a setup Pokemon to help get hazards in the field. Skarmory has a base defense of 140, which is by far its highest stat among all it has to work with, and we will make that better. To really promote the culture of Skarmory being a defensive presence, I'm also giving it the Rocky Helmet to wear, causing any Pokemon that connects with the move that makes contact to lose a 6 of their health. Sturdy is also an effect here of Skarmory, so you can be assured that you can't be one-shot by anything. I would be remiss if I didn't immediately make Skarmory impish and give it 252 EVs in defense, but when it came to the other 252, I had a few choices. I could have either tried to make Skarmory a bit faster, or maybe just built up its HP for more bulk's sake. And in the end, I decided it would be worth it to help out both stats and give it 224 to HP and 32 to speed. It's not as much of a push to speed, but I figured a little help would be nice when it comes to getting things set up with the upcoming moveset. After all booster apply the stats, Skarmory will have a very high 416 defense, 327 HP, and 184 speed. With all that out of the way, let's get into this moveset. Skarmory's moveset is Iron Head, Spikes, Stealth Rocks, and Roost. As I said earlier, Lugia's Whirlwind would serve as a lot more than just something to force sit-up Pokemon out and ruin that plan for the trainer. With these moves, there's a lot of hazards that can be put out there by Skarmory, and with them you'll pick apart the other team like it's nothing. However, I want to start off with Iron Head, which will be a nice coverage for Rock types and Ice types that threaten a lot of the team. Brave Bird is another option here, but I see no reason to lose a third of your health when you can just use a Stab Booster 120 power move that gives you a 30% chance to flinch the opponent. Iron Head is a strong move and a good one for coverage, but it's also not really the big headline of this set. Things get a lot more interesting with Spikes. This move can be used 3 times, and with that maximum amount of spikes, any Pokemon switching in that touches the ground will lose a quarter of their health. You'll need to get 3 of them off, but with Skarmory's defenses, that shouldn't be too big of a problem. Next, you've got the Stealth Rocks, and those hit all Pokemon, doing the same damage as 3 sets of spikes do normally if the Pokemon switching in is weak to the Rock type. If the Rock typing does neutral damage to them, they'll lose about 12% of their health, and if they resist the Rock type, then it'll do around 6%. The biggest thing here though, is that if a Pokemon like Charizard or Volcarona switches into these rocks, they'll lose half of their health due to their 4 times weakness to flying. The chance to do a major amount of damage with these hazards is too good to pass up on, and the Whirlwind with Lugia will help switch Pokemon in constantly and absolutely nail the opponent down. Roost rounds out the moveset, and I'm not going to get too into it, as it has been spoken about twice already, and it'll be spoken about again. But it's going to give Skarmory 50% of its max health back, and get rid of its flying typing. It's not too important to keep Skarmory around after you've got everything set up, but I suppose just in case someone is ready to get rid of hazards with a move like Rapid Spin, it'll be good to have Skarmory ready to come back in and set up all of them all over again. This is the last Pokemon I'm taking from Johto, I promise. It's not my fault that the 2nd gen has quite a few good flying type Pokemon. Bringing the power of poison to this best team is Crobat, and it really doesn't need much of an introduction. There is a reason why Crobat has been used in previous best teams for some game playthroughs, and that is due to how tremendously useful it is as a speedy threat. It has a little bit of natural bulk, and that's pretty nice, but what I'm looking to do is make it a speedy special sweeper. The Infiltrator ability that I've chosen for Crobat will make it that much easier for it to do damage, as it will ignore plenty of effects that would hurt it as damage output. Crobat will be holding a black sludge, and they'll act as its own version of the leftovers, restoring a 16th of Crobat's HP at the end of each turn. In order for Crobat to be a speedy special sweeper, I've obviously got to improve its speed and special attack, and that will be rather simple to achieve. Crobat already starts off with base 130 speed, so giving it 252 EVs and making it timid will only make it more impossible to catch up to by bringing the speed up to 394. As for the special attack, 252 EVs into that make it go up to 239, and while that doesn't seem like a lot, you'll come to find that I have ways of improving it. I can assure you that this Crobat will absolutely wreck house against many Pokemon. Crobat's moveset will open up with Nasty Plot and Air Slash, be followed by Sludge Bomb, and finally end with everyone's favorite recovery move, Roost. Nasty Plot is going to be what puts Crobat's special attack over the edge. As of just one usage of the move, you'll double that stat, pulling it at 478 and turning Crobat into a major weapon. I wouldn't recommend going for another one, as Crobat still will have to leave itself open for a turn to use it once, and that can be a risk, but one should be really all you need. Air Slash will be excellent to pull out and use, having a stat boosted 112 base power and a 3% chance to flinch the opponent. It's going to be great against most Pokemon, and since Crobat will more than likely outspeed almost anything, you'll definitely have a good chance of costing your opponent a turn with a flinch. Sludge Bomb is another stab move that gets boosted to 135 base power and has a 30% chance to poison the opponent. Though if you play your cards right with Lugia and Toxic, it may not matter that this move has that secondary effect. Sludge Bomb is yet another great general damage move to turn to that does even more than Air Slash, and it thrives from a special attack increase. Roost closes out this move, and you all know about that by now. So now it's time to finally move on from Johto and dive headfirst into the beautiful oceans of Hoenn, so we can catch ourselves the next Pokemon on this team, Pelipper. Don't let the fact that it looks like a toilet fool you. This Pokemon is anything but awful. Pelipper makes use of a really good ability in Drizzle that makes it rain for several turns, and it has a great defense stat, adding on to a running line of bulky Pokemon already on this team. In regards to the item I've given Pelipper, I did things a little different than usual, and I'm having it hold the Wackenberry, which will cut the damage it receives from an electric type move in half. I usually don't use one usage item on these teams often, but since this team doesn't really rely on the rain much, I figured I may as well forgo the damp rock and give it something that would really help out. I decided on making Pelipper use the Modest Nature and upping its defense of 252 EVs, as it seemed to me like focusing on making it bulky was the best thing to do, but I wanted to give it a little more attention in special attack as well, so it receives 252 EVs in that. With those stat changes in effect, Pelipper now has 299 defense and a very modest 317 special attack, pun fully intended. As you can see, Pelipper is set up to eat physical hits and dish out some special attacks, and you best believe that we're making use of that rain. The moveset Pelipper has is Scald, Hurricane, Tailwind, and Roost. I decided on Scald over Hydro Pump because I wanted to make sure I was using a move with good accuracy, and the 30% chance to burn the opponent comes in handy when wanting to keep up Pelipper's defensive power. Plus in the rain, Scald will see its base power go up to 120 thanks to Stab, and then up to 180 thanks to it being in the rain, making it a very good move to use right off the bat. Hurricane is another fantastic move as it won't miss in the rain and is going to be Stab boosted to 165 base power, adding on a 30% chance to confuse the opponent. When you're given the chance to make use of a move like Hurricane, as not many Pokemon will take it, and there's a great chance you'll end up confusing them, which could lead the opponent needing to hard switch out, giving you an extra turn to do something. Tailwind is on this set as well, and it'll be used to help make sure that your Pokemon have a better chance to outspeed the opponent over the next 4 turns. In the case of Pelipper, its speed will be doubled to 322, and that will definitely help it get off its Scald and Hurricane combo even quicker. Finally, there is Roost, and like I said, I'm not really going to talk about it. So it's time to get this team wrapped up and make a brief stop in Sinnoh for the last Pokemon, one of the many evolutions added in Diamond and Pearl, Togekiss. Togekiss is yet another bulky Pokemon on this team, this time setting for being pretty darn good at walling special attacks just like Lugia. It's got base 115 special defense and a great base 120 special attack, meaning you can use it as both a sponge for defensive hits and a top special attacker. Togekiss has got a few abilities, but the one I'm focusing on is Serene Grace. Serene Grace doubles the chance of Togekiss's move's secondary effects activating, and that can come in super handy with quite a few of the moves Togekiss has at its disposal. For the item, Togekiss will be holding a Life Orb, so it can hit those foes even harder, something that will surely be doing well already with that good special attack stat. Speaking of stats, Togekiss will be Modest Nature and have 252 EVs in special attack, 176 in HP, and 80 in speed. Upping Togekiss's speed a little bit was important, as while it still isn't super high, it can use a little bit of help when dealing with the foes. It is close in speed too, giving it 216 in that column. Its HP goes up to 355, adding on to that bulk, and finally its fantastic special attack caps at 372. This Togekiss is really good, and with the moves I picked out, it'll be even scarier. Before I even get into the meat and bones of this moveset, I'm just gonna get out of the way immediately. This Togekiss has Roost. That's it, that's all. I just wanted to point that out. And yes, the whole team is rocking out with Roost. It's a great move for recovery, and I feel it would have been dumb if I hadn't included it. So moving on, we have Fire Blast, Air Slash, and Aura Sphere. Fire Blast is boosted to 143 base power by the Life Orb, and has a 20% chance to burn the opponent thanks to Serene Grace. It's going to be great as coverage for the dangerous Ice and Steel types that might try to fight out Togekiss, but be warned that it's only got 85% accuracy. If you're not willing to take such a risk, Flamethrower is also an option, but it doesn't hit as hard as the Life Orb only boosted up to 117 base power. It does still have that 20% chance to burn though, so the option is yours, guys. Power versus accuracy, pick what is more important to you. Air Slash is next, and that will have a base power boosted up to 146 thanks to the Life Orb and Stab. And man, this is the premier move that is affected by Serene Grace. Air Slash would normally just have a 30% chance to flinch the opponent, but with Serene Grace involved, that shoots up to 60%. And the role of Pokemon RNG just took a massive step up. Air Slash will suddenly not only do a ton of damage, but it will also be stopping your opponent entirely, as long as Togekiss can manage to outspeed them, of course. Though even if it does not, you're still doing a ton of damage with it, and ending up turning things into a real headache for the opponent. Finally, there is Aura Sphere, and that has 80 base power and won't miss. And it's here to cover against Rock, Ice, and Steel types. There aren't a whole lot of weaknesses that aren't covered by this moveset, but even then, that special defense is so good that you should be able to tank a strong, super effective move at least once. I like to think this was another smooth landing for a best team, and that this flight was definitely one of the best. How about you guys though? I want to hear from you, so please let me know what you think about this team in the comments below. If you use it, let me know how it goes. Would you guys do anything differently? And is there any Pokemon you'd rather see on this team that wasn't included? Let me know everything down below. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and all kinds of other Nintendo content like Zelda, Fire Emblem, and much more. Also, I've been reviewing every episode of My Hero Academia Season 4 over on Mystic Sage, so head over there if you're into that too. I would love that a lot. Want to support me further and gain cool perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Memory Martin, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weiss Austin, Sodden Grider, and Enigma97 did, and I want to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Gumbrian, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.